We're going to talk today about this kind of, it's not new. It's this ad platform that we have, and this kind of one of the products in our ad platform, Grant. We've got kind of a special that we're doing for the holidays. So we're going to talk about this.
Yep.
Grant, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about some remarketing today, huh?
We are.
All right. So let me pull my slides up here. And while I'm pulling my slides up, Grant, I want to share a story here before we jump in. I can remember as clear as day the very first time, and let me get my slides up here. The very first time that I ran across the idea of retargeting, remarketing, really what would become the future of marketing on the internet. And I can remember it clear as day, Grant. I was sitting in my office in Bellevue, Washington. Somebody here is from Bellevue. We had an office on Northeast 130th in Bellevue, and into my office busts my partner Jonathan Washburn. He was a co-founder of mine at Active Rain. We had a real estate company at the time called Brio Realty, Grant. And Jonathan busts into my office and he's like, "All right, get in here." And he grabs me and kind of drags me back to his office. And as I walk into his office, he's like, "Look at this." And he points at his monitor, and I come around the monitor, Grant, and I look at it. And on his monitor is just a web page with an ad on it for this orange couch. And I'll never forget this orange couch. If I walked by it like in somebody's living room today, I'd be like, "That's the orange couch." But it was from IKEA. And Jonathan, so I'm like, yeah, okay, like, cool couch. Are you going to buy that? And he's like, no. He's like, "I was looking at this couch last night at home." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I was looking at this couch on IKEA's website last night. Now they're serving me an ad for it." And I'm like, "Really?" Now, today, you guys, this seems ridiculous, Grant, right? Like, nobody would be blown away. Nobody's running into somebody else's office and grabbing them Aaron Lennon and being like, "Get over here and look at this. I'm being served an ad." Like today, Grant, we're all convinced our phones listen to us, and whenever we say something into it, Google and Facebook are like, serve up the ad engines and go, go, go. But back this was in 2004. In 2004, this was brand new. This was cutting edge. This was now all these years later, still this arena, Grant, has generally been reserved for like Fortune 500. You have to have ad agencies to run this kind of advertising for you, right? This really hyper targeted advertising based on something you've been doing on the internet before. Back then, it was mind blowing, and I think as Jonathan and I sat there as real estate practitioners with our little real estate brokerage, like the light bulbs went off immediately, right? We were like, "Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable." Like, we could start to target people that had been on our real estate website, because even way back then, Grant, we knew that the people coming to our real estate website were not trying to buy or sell a house today. Right? They're on a journey. We wish that everybody that showed up was looking to buy or sell today, but they're not. They're on a journey, and we have to be able to follow them along that journey. So the orange couch from IKEA will forever be implanted on my head as what for me was kind of this turning point in the way that we could market online. Because we used to run tons of, that was like on the cusp of Google kind of coming out. And that was one of Google's big things, was this kind of retargeting concept. But, you've been around, Grant, back when we were doing the Overture days. And,
I've been around since the 800 hotline days.
Yeah, the 800 hotline. Grant's been, you worked at a real like print ad agency where you guys did print advertising. So, that was really the cusp of what the internet would promise we could do from an advertiser's perspective, was just this idea that, look, I'd been looking at on this website, they had put a cookie or something on my browser, right? We could maybe get into the particulars of the, and then they served an ad up similar to an ad, or a product that we'd been looking at before. So let's get in here. Today's agenda, Grant, we're going to talk about what is remarketing, although, we just kind of serve that story. Why do we do it? What are some of the benefits, some of the general just statistics around this? Welcome, Michael in San Antonio. So we'll show you guys a case study. This is from Ben Kinney's operation in Bellingham, Washington. Grant, we'll share with you what some of their remarketing one of their remarketing campaigns looks like. Talk about like kind of how does it help your business, and then talk about how you guys can actually get in here and do this. So Grant, give me just the layman's explanation. What is CRM remarketing? And so beyond even remarketing, we're doing CRM remarketing. Explain this to me.
Sure, we are. So CRM remarketing is just a version of regular remarketing. Regular remarketing usually focuses on pixels on your website that when someone goes to the website, they're added to a custom audience that then is put into ad rotation. That person starts seeing those ads on across the network of websites that are participating. CRM remarketing is specific to your first data, what's called your first data, which is, by the way, going to become more and more important with all of the new privacy rules and stuff, where we can actually take your whole CRM database and we can upload it in and create what's called a custom audience out of it. So then we can actually follow those people with ads across the display network.
So this is, I think we've all heard the term like big data, right? Yeah. And I think, look, if you're a small business owner, a small entrepreneur, which I think most of the folks joining us on the call are today, like the idea that I could leverage big data, that I could take my data that I have, and really for a real estate agent, the data you own is in your database, right? Yeah. But the idea that I could leverage that and kind of participate in this big data concept. Big data is like this thing it's always, for the last, I don't know how long we've been talking about big data, Grant. Like as a business owner, it feels like your ability to leverage it is just over the hill, right? Like, don't worry, really soon you'll be able to leverage your own big data. But the reality is this is one of the first ways that the real estate agents can start to leverage big data, their database.
Absolutely. And it's going to become more and more important as more and more of these privacy laws and rules go into play, where our data is everything. And having a database that we take good care of, and that we're always weeding the garden, so to speak, is because there's all these things, including what we're talking about today, that you can do with that data to really take advantage in market. I have a lot of clients that, I only work with my sphere and my by referral. And I always tell them that's great, because there's actually good marketing for that, which is, again, what we're going to be talking about, which is CRM marketing that will help to get more referrals and stay more top of mind. How many times do you follow up with somebody who you thought, you had a good relationship with, for them, to tell you, oh yeah, no, we sold the house and, we're moving on. And it's not that they didn't like you or whatever, it's just that, that you weren't top of mind when they decided to make that decision. So that's why it's really important to stay top of mind all the time with your database.
Grant, you're a licensed agent. You sell houses. You have a team up here in Bellingham, Washington. You sell houses. Yep. My mom is a real estate agent. I tell a story. My mom's a real estate machine. She did 79 transactions in her first year in real estate. And granted, in our world here in the Ben Kinney world, she's kind of a big deal, right? I mean, I think that is a big deal to sell 79 houses. But she tells a story of finding out the summer after. So she does her first year, 2017. In the summer of 2018, she runs into a cousin of hers. And my mom's goal during that 2017 is her business is blowing up, and she's really leaning into the models and systems that the Ben Kinney team deploys, and Brivity is one of those systems, right? But she had set a goal of 80. about halfway through the year, when it looked like she was really crushing it, she'd already passed her kind of goal that she initially set that first year. So she says 80 is going to be my goal, and she hits 79. So she fails on her goal, but she runs into her cousin in July of that next year, and her cousin tells her, we sold 4 of our rental properties last year. And look, Gail to this day will admit, like, she had done a horrible job of reaching out to her sphere. And that's actually part of the onboarding plan. When you become part of the Ben Kinney team, you're supposed to do the sphere part. And Gail leaned really heavy into the cold calling and the open houses, right? But she didn't follow up their sphere. But I'll guarantee, if we'd have had this program back then, and my mom's cousin Jill would have seen Gail following her around, because Gail had her in her database. She just never reached out to her, because, in some ways she thought, oh, well, I'm sure Jill sees that I'm out here doing this, she'll just call me. But the reality is she hadn't, right? Like, Gail hadn't got on her radar, and had she been constantly getting ads served up to her, of her cousin's real estate business, like, there's a really high probability that my mom's cousin Jill does business with her and sells those 4 properties. So, it's, we all think like those people are going to do business with us. Grant, the National Association of Realtors, they do you're a student of this publication, but they do their generational trends report every year. And, every year, and the number it changes by 1% to 3%, but basically 90% of buyers say, I definitely work with Grant again when I go to sell my house later. Yeah. You guys, the industry does such a good job taking care of consumers, buyers specifically, right? That 90% of them say, I'm likely to use Grant again. 75% of them say, I'm highly likely to use Grant again.
Yeah.
But Grant, how many of them actually do?
Well, if you don't stay top of mind, which not very many agents are good at that, then it's a really low number. 26% is the number. So when NAR did this study last year, when people went to sell their house, only 26% of them did it with the agent they bought the house with, even though 90% of them said, I'm definitely using Grant again. Yeah. And he was amazing. So, those two, your past client, your sphere, so much of the business does come from those places in the industry, but it's not guaranteed, right? It's not guaranteed. So talk for a second about what are we taking out of their database and where are we putting it? So basically any contact with an email is a potential match. So what we do is we actually pull out the list, and some of our clients, when we're doing these campaigns, they'll tag their records that they want us to use. But we'll take that list, we'll export it out, and then we're uploading it into the platform, the ad platform, as a custom audience. And once we have it in there, we're able to deliver ads across the entire Google display network, which not only encompasses some of the biggest websites on the internet, all the big news sites are a part of that network. All the big sports sites are a part of that network. A lot of the home improvement sites that, some of the most read blogs are a part of that network. I mean, it's thousands and thousands of websites that's likely you're not, everybody in your database is going to be on one of these sites. Not only that, it's games. I actually had a potential client tell me a few weeks back that every time they play Candy Crush, they see me. So, you're like, stop playing Candy Crush, start working more so you can have a bigger budget to buy more house. I always tell the joke, Grant, that like, we don't care if they lean right and they go get their news on Fox, or they lean left and they go get their news on MSNBC, or, they go get their local news at, wherever that might be. Herald. Like, we're going to be there, right? We're going to be in all those locations. We're going to be on the Wall Street Journal. And look, what starts to happen over time is this audience, there's a couple of things that happen. First off, they don't, without realizing, I think, like, you're just on their brain. It makes
Grant, what, those outbound phone calls, like when you're calling out to leads, when you're calling out to your past clients, they'll say things like, gosh, you know, I've been seeing you all over the place.
Oh yeah. Ask the team over here, which we rely heavily. We're going to show a little case study, but we rely heavily on banner advertising now. It's a big part of our budget now.
And I'll tell you something, Grant, I think banner advertising, we used to run it way back, and it gets a bad name, and it got a bad name, and for good reason, I think. Like the old style of banner advertising was like, put it out there, just go to everywhere.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
You're essentially running ads on these sites that have no relevance to people that don't even see in the ad because they're somewhere down low on the page. Like,
this is like
people that know you.
This is like having the big billboard that, you know, in a busy city that everybody has to drive, you know, that people drive through rush hour and are forced to stop and stare at it for the next 20 minutes as they're trying to get through. Except there's one little twist. Everybody in those cars are actually real estate consumers because it's not just anybody. It's a very targeted group of people that either they were on your real estate website or they're in your real estate database. And so it's showing them sometimes, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, your banner ads. So it's massive exposure. I actually I'll just tell a quick story about, because you said about Fox and CNN and all that. I actually have a listing I'm trying to get in Mount Vernon, and her name's Nancy. She's 83 years old. I actually tell this story when I'm on my demos sometimes with people, so forgive me if you've heard it. But she was telling me that, she doesn't want to sell her house because, right now, the government's going to come in and take all of her money when she sells it, and she just doesn't trust it, and she's just going to wait until the government changes again. And I said, well, that's fair, Nancy.
Joe Biden, that son of a gun.
Pretty much, yeah. Without saying that, that's exactly what and she actually went on about a 5-minute rant, but at the end I was like, well, I totally understand, Nancy. You want to wait, and is it okay if I stay in touch with you? And she's like, I don't know. She says, I don't really know. Wait, what's your name again? She says. I said, my name is Grant Gould. Oh, Grant Gould. She says, I see you on Fox News all the time. she said, sure, you could give me a call.
Yeah. Yeah. So we don't care, right? If she would have been like
100% trust, instant trust
all the way, she would have saw you on MSNBC. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. All right. So, that is funny. Yeah. All right. So, why remarket your database? We talked about, right? It's going to help you build that brand awareness. It's going to help you nurture leads, keep you top of mind, give you a competitive advantage, increase the opportunity to convert more leads. Are we going to get in? Yeah, let's go to this. Here's some stats. I want to get to this case study here because the action these people are taking. I'm fascinated by the action. Like what is kind of for me as a marketer, I would always, it was always about lead generation really for me. And I think once we realized like, well, wait a minute, it doesn't have to be a new lead because these leads don't buy for 12 months, 18 months, 24, 3 years, Grant. We got people sitting in this database that we generated 5 years ago that still haven't bought, but are going to at some point or sold. And, you quickly kind of as a marketer have to change your, put that other hat on, right? You're like, hey, I was a marketer because I want to fill the database with leads, but I'm putting on now I'm nurturing this database. But what are those actions that we're driving people towards? So I'm interested in that in the case study here in just a second. Yeah. Some stats. There's lots of stats around remarketing, and it's funny oh my goodness, what just happened? The Criteo stat of website visitors who are retargeted are 40% more likely. I was doing some research last night. I found a stat that said they're 70%
Mhm.
more likely. And that comes from a study done by Ken Shu. So look, I think who is it? Thomas Jefferson that said like stats and lies, or I don't know. There's some,
Right.
the point is this stuff works, right? Whether it's 43% more or it's 70% more, whether your remarketing campaign is going to drive 10 times as many people to go Google your name, or it's going to drive 6 times as many people. I think instinctually, Grant, we all know, look, you guys check in for me. Have you guys been engaged by a remarketing ad or a retargeted ad and clicked on it? Like, I'm a sucker for this stuff, Grant.
Yeah.
Because you know this about me. I love my shoes, Grant.
Yep. And they know you love shoes.
Oh, they know so much. Friggin' Nike does. They're everywhere I go. Like, they're everywhere. And it's not just that they're everywhere. They're showing me like shoes I like.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so good. They don't even show me high tops. I don't like high tops. Like, they show me the shoes I like. It is uncanny. And we're able to do that, right? We're able to help this audience go connect with the audience inside of their CRM. So let's talk for a second about this this case study. So this is kind of walk me through who this is and kind of what we see here on the screen.
Sure. So this is the Ben Kinney team, place team here in Bellingham, big team run by Jolene, and this is actually a 3-month snapshot of the remarketing campaign that we run for them. Now, the funny thing is that when we started out, we started out with remarketing to just the website traffic. We had a small budget, but as time has gone on, Jolene, constantly comes back to me and says, "Hey, I want you to invest more in the remarketing. Hey, I want you to invest more in the remarketing, especially to the CRM, because what they experience in the CRM is so much revisit to the website there that they don't even hardly have time to deal with new leads. They're just trying to keep their heads above water on all the people that constantly come back. I think I was in there last Thursday and looking at it because I was showing somebody on a demo I was on, and it was, I think it was like 7 pages to get to the end of the first day.
Yeah,
So,
they have
how many people are on a CRM page?
50. Yeah. So we're
50.
talking 350 visitors a day that are coming in. I mean, Ben, this Bellingham operation is one of the premier teams in the United States. They can't keep up with this. They have throttled their leads at some point and stopped new leads because we've been able to engage the database to such a level that so I'm fascinated by this conversions number in the middle here, Grant. Sure. These 387 conversions, and as a old school marketer, right? Like back in the day on Google, conversion meant lead, and that's what I was going after. Right? I'm like, oh, how much can I get another lead for? This is different though, because these are already people in our world. So, what does a conversion in this sense mean?
So we're measuring. Because yes, these people are leads already in the system. So we're not trying to get new lead conversions. We're marketing to an existing database. So as we do that, we are the things we're measuring as conversions are things mainly on the listing pages. So let's
come in here. I'm going to pull up one of these.
Sure, it's all the calls to action on this page are the main things that we're measuring. So start an offer, favorite, go down. Schedule a showing ask a question is a big one that we see a lot of conversions on. Even people that start an ABM, a home value from this page. So those are the main actions that we're measuring.
So what we're essentially trying to do, or what we're doing here, is we are taking the database they have, and we're trying to get them, because look, we could go into Ben's database. We show it off all the time on different, different webinars, different Brivity happy hours, or different things. They have 30,000 people in that database, in one of their databases here in Bellingham. They've got a couple, multiple databases, but that's so many people. It's like, where do you even start every day? And one of the things that this helps them do is, we constantly are out there running these campaigns there's a lot of reasons, right? There's a lot of reasons. But one of those reasons is to float to the top the cream, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
Right. Is to allow them to know where to focus. Because and by the way, this is a team that makes, on their 30,000 contacts in the database, they're making 6,000 to 7,000 phone calls a month into that database. Yep. Grant, right? So we're trying to float those, 387 conversions are all things that in the database that stick out like a sore thumb, right? Yep. They're a requested showing or asked a question. These are things that are popping up on the dashboard of this team. Yeah. So it's really honing who those most important phone calls are going to.
And that number right at the very end there that says daily frequency. So that's the number of times the average person enrolled in this campaign is seeing one of these ads. There's actually 6 different sizes, but seeing these ads, they're over 4 times a day on average. So that's a lot of branding.
I mentioned, look, this works. I mean, this can work for anybody. It really works well in an operation like Ben's, because they do get these kind of hand raisers, the 387 conversions, right? These people, the people asking questions are really engaging with the site after they're driven back there. But they get like those 246,000 impressions that an average person seeing the ad 4 times a day, 4.3 times a day.
Yep.
Those phone calls that they're making into their business, those text messages that they're sending, those emails, those resonate so much better because the person is seeing these 4 or 5 ads every day in conjunction with the phone call.
Absolutely. There's the intangibles that are harder to measure, that aren't statistics, are, brand lift, brand awareness. I mean, those are things that, you ask, Zeke when he's making calls, as he's making calls into that database, because we've talked about it, recently. They felt the shift in the database when people stopped asking them from who are you calling from, where they knew the name. They knew the name Ben Kinney. so now we're using it to rebrand as, his place, but they knew the brand. And when you're making phone calls like that, when you're working your database, to even have that, initial brand recognition is huge to prospecting that database.
Especially if she doesn't want Joe Biden taking her money. You know what I'm saying? All right. Yeah. So the remarketing objective here. So walk me through this. Me through this funnel here, Grant.
Absolutely. I mean, most of the things that we all think about and seem to focus on mostly is the lead gen, is the top part of the funnel. That's reaching new people that don't know who we are, to somehow get their name and phone number and email, so we can put it in our database. But and then out of that, a very small percentage of those people are actually ready to go. The vast majority of them are future. They're nurturers. So a lot of money gets spent on that. A lot of conversations I have every single day, and how many conversations I've had with agents about leads. It's many. That's where most of the focus is, not on the stuff that's more down the funnel. And I also always like to point out that when you're getting a lead from Zillow or Realtor.com, that person didn't become a lead that day, then they transferred it to you. That person became a lead a year ago, and guess who's been doing the work to nurture them until they were ready to be handed off to you. And so, the goal should be to become your own Zillow. Here in Bellingham, we're kind of our own, we're pretty much our own Zillow, locally in this marketplace, because we do these things that are all about staying top of mind and nurturing. And we really invest a lot of money into not just the new leads we're generating, but a lot of money into, the remarketing and the retargeting stuff that we do to keep continuously engage these people. And of course, our CRM is awesome at the auto plans. It's awesome at the listing alerts and the market reports and all of those things. But people can ignore those. People see the banner ads, whether they, for the most part, whether they want them or not, unless of course they have a blocker, but not a lot of people use a blocker. So
it's what we, this, we had a company called Active Rain, and we used to run these surveys, and we did a survey 1 year about what agents spend their money on. And it was like, it got a lot of coverage in the industry back then. We were one of the first places to kind of aggregate a ton of agents and be able to ask questions, and people would actually engage us and share what they were doing in their business. And one of the fascinating things to me, and this continues to hold true in some of the more recent stuff I've seen around this, how much money as an industry we spend on new leads and new prospects versus how much money we spend marketing to our existing clients and our sphere.
Yeah.
And it's massively weighted towards for new lead generation. And I get it, right? I get it. But if, again, we look at what we use, Grant, as the Bible, is that NAR generational trends report, what that report shows every single year is, for most of you guys on this call, the majority of your business comes from inside of your sphere and your past clients in your database.
Yeah.
Right. And your ability to grow the business comes from the new leads. And I think that's why so many people are focused on bringing the new leads in, Grant. By the way, you can do new leads too, right? Your team does.
I do new leads. Yes.
But people are so focused on that because that's where the growth comes from. Yeah. But the most of the actual business comes from inside, from your sphere and your past clients.
Well, I mean, it's even, when you go into CRMs and you can see there's just a lot of incompletes and there's bounced emails and there's, they're not taking care of, that data, which everyone really should be. I mean, I go as far as I have a VA every day that's all they do is manage my database. They're going in behind the agents when there's a wrong number. Guess what they do? They go and they research it. They find a different number for that person. They add it to it and they put it back to an unqualified. so that it has to be recycled back, to call that person. Everything in the database should be, you got to market to your database because it's the gold.
I brought this up earlier, this idea that we wish, you're an agent, you wish, I work with, our 70 place teams. Like, we all wish that when they signed up on the website, Grant, they were like, they just had the bag of cash and they were like, let's do it. Let's go buy right now. Right. Or they were there with, with their pen ready to sign your listing agreement.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not the case. Talk to me about this. How does remarketing kind of have an impact on the user journey?
Well, it again, the remarketing component, again, you're talking about a person who came in from cold and you're trying to get them to sold. And, cold is they don't know who you are. They have no idea probably who you are. Maybe they've heard of your brand in the marketplace, but if they weren't really paying attention, if their reticular activator wasn't going off, at the time, then they weren't really paying attention. So what you want to do is you need to build credibility. And again, in addition to getting your brand in front of people a lot, what remarketing also does is, the person who goes to CNN every day to read the news, they see your banner across the top. That there is a psychological impact that's having on that user, because they're not just seeing your brand, but they're seeing your brand on, wow, that's this person is advertising on.
They're connecting your brand to something they trust. Right.
Correct.
And especially for folks that are going back to a location, a local news site, a CNN, a Washington Post, a Wall Street Journal, whatever it is, as they go back to that place because they trust that place.
Yep.
And you're connecting your brand to their to their brain's ability to trust that CNN or that Fox
Absolutely.
News or that MSNBC or whatever that is.
Exactly. So it's also a great way. Again, most of us probably neglect our, past clients and our main sphere. We just assume that they're going to give us business. But as you said earlier, even Gal's cousin, sold 4 properties because, she probably didn't market. Get in front of them enough and make it clear that she was the one that she could have called.
So Darren, Darren said Darren, not inside of Brivity Marketer today. So we run these campaigns. There are a couple things you can do out of Brivity Marketer today. You can go generate your own ads on Facebook. Still to this day, all these years later, Google has not really, they haven't automated this in any way, Grant. They haven't made this kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like stupid proof.
Yeah.
Like this is like, look, you could do it. I think anybody on here could go out and do this and figure it out and take a class. And now, are you going to do it at a level like Grant and his team that do it all day long? So Darren, no, you cannot do this inside of Marketer today. Google has not set up the types of APIs that Facebook has that allows us to do. Like right now, we can do Facebook ads in there, but Google doesn't have these APIs to make this kind of stupid proof. And Grant, I'm stupid, so I know this. I've been in and played with this stuff, and I've watched your team, what they do. So the answer is no, Darren. Our team manages this, and I think the reality is you should go get professionals to manage something like this for you. And here I use this kind of silly analogy, but I think that real estate agents that try to manage this component of their business are operating in the same way as a FSBO, Grant.
Yep.
And I'm in all sincerity, because like, what does a FSBO do? A FSBO says, well, I can do that. I can sell the house and I could do it for cheaper than Grant could. Yeah. Right. And what really ends up happening is FSBOs end up getting less money, and there's much higher likelihood they get sued, Grant. They're not professionals. They don't do this every day, right? And so I'm being totally honest, a real estate agent that decides, I want to do this, I want to run this for myself, even if Google gave us the APIs to set this stuff up, you are competing against your team. They're competing against your team, Grant. They're competing against the folks that do this at Redfin and Zillow and Realogy and Berkshire Hathaway and, EXP and whoever else, right?
Sure.
And you've got to compete against the Ben Kinney team, but they are smart enough to know let's just let the professionals handle it. So Grant, your team handles it for those guys. You think about and who's a FSBO competing against? Well, they're competing against you, Darren, and Casey, and you, Grant, the Ben Kinney team, and all the professionals that do this every single day. So bottom line, don't be a FSBO. Now, I think there are some things, right? Like the Facebook ads inside a Marketer, for example. Here's how I'd extend that. Look, our sellers, we go do all the professional stuff. That doesn't mean they're not out trying to help sell their own house and telling their friends and family about it. And we give them a flyer to pass around at work or whatever, right? So the agent should still be helping the professionals out, right? They could still be running some Facebook ads out inside of Brivity Marketer, because we've made that kind of dummy proof. although I can still
run
figure
I
out.
run ads in Brivity marketing. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So we can do it for you. We call it the database remarketing, super cost effective way. Here's what we've got: some kind of special holiday campaigns, right, Grant?
Yep. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about these.
Yeah. So basically this is kind of our first time doing kind of a theme, like a micro campaign where we want to test this out. We've already been doing it kind of in Marketer where we're giving people, St. Patty's Day marketing materials and stuff that they can use and in holidays and postcards and things like that. So we're actually kind of extending that idea to managed campaigns. So this first one we're doing is a holiday campaign that we're going to run from December to the end of the year, the month of December. So it is directed at their current database. We pretty much do everything. They just have to choose what creative, and we do everything else.
Well, but we build, like, they can kind of pick from some options. We build the creative. We don't be like, hey, go build your things and bring them back. Our design team handles all of that stuff.
Yep. We have, I think we came up with some really nice ones. Again, this is a new remarketing is not new territory to us, but doing it as this kind of themed, micro campaign is this is the first time we're doing it. So we're actually limiting it to 100 of our customers that want to participate. We've
already got, so we're limited to 100, but we've already got a bunch of the place teams on board, right? A bunch of Ben's teams are on board with this. So there's only, I don't know, a given day there's only like 50 or 48 spots or something left. So
yeah, I think I have like 30 something people or something like that. So.
Okay. So here's kind of what we're looking at. Request a consultation with Grant. We'll get you'll work with our team. By the way, the consultation, it may include other things that you want to do. And one of the approaches we take, Grant, is try to sometimes we might have people reach out to us who don't have very large databases, and Grant's team might say to them, this is not a good idea for you right now, right? Like, we should actually spend your dollars building your database versus trying to market to what's in there, because it's not a big enough audience right now. So they're trying to, they're going to help you make kind of the best decision. They're not just going to be like, yeah, you want this, cool, let's pigeonhole you in there. If it doesn't fit, right?
So somebody asked about the price. So for the, we do have it priced, for agents who, have quite a few thousands of people in their database. I actually, when we're on the call, if somebody really wants to run it, depending on our capacity, I might be able to make an adjustment if I just don't think that the spend matches the size of their audience. But the basic package that includes everything from the creatives, the setting it up, the ad spend, everything is $2,000 is what we have it priced.
And what I hear you saying is there's a potential it could be less depending on the size of somebody's database. Lou,
there's also a potential it could be more if they have like a mega database. So.
Okay, Lou's asking the price per piece and then saying 500 pieces. So, and this is kind of a sidebar, Lou. So we've got the retargeting, the remarketing stuff, and that's not really like a per piece necessarily. I don't know, 500 might actually be
referring to the fact that we're going to actually add matching postcards. Which is different. That is not included in the.
So what we'll do is we're putting into Brivity Marketer a couple of new themed postcards and some new themed social media sharing. Now so those will be in there really soon, like in the next couple of days. On that stuff, Lou, you decide. So it's 69 cents, 99 cents, or 71 cents, 99 cents, like $1.29, depending on the size of the postcard. And those become USPS first class mail delivered to the house. and you go and choose. You upload your portion of the database there. You can use our templates that we'll have up in there, and then those are the prices though on the direct mail components out of Brivity Marketer.
Yeah.
That's a great question, I think, from Douglas Grant. What is that kind of minimum size of the database that it makes sense for you to be able to craft an audience that will work?
So probably, a minimum, I would have to say probably around maybe 3,000 matches in as an audience. I mean, again, we could talk about it if somebody really wants to do it, and just kind of, but I don't really want to commit to that, because also we were very limited on this. If this, we know this is going to be successful. We've been doing it, on different scales, and just not as a holiday theme or it's a new year, or the other ideas that we're looking at doing for the whole year, having these micros, so that way, the goal is to continuously be in front of people, but be in front of them even with fresh. We've had a lot of people ask us, hey, we'd like to. We like to do marketing to our database, but we want to change it up all the time. We want to do, summer's coming. We want to do, it's the St. Patty's Day theme. They want to do different things like that. So.
Grant, great question from Carmen here, because I know Canada's a little bit more privacy minded. Does this stuff work up there in a similar fashion?
I have not. Have I
not as strong?
I think I've done, of course I have. I've done campaigns for Austin.
Okay, so we've run these up out of Toronto, Carmen. So sounds like Canada will work. So here's what you do. If you want to get on Grant's calendar, take your phone out right now. This is the first time we've ever done this, by the way. Normally we have them text a quickly code, but take your phone out, pull your camera up. I'm going to do this while we're on here and shoot this QR code. Does this work, by the way? Oh yeah, look at that, meet.brivity.com. I'm coming to meet Grant. There it goes. It'll pull up Grant's calendar right there for you guys. It looks like he's actually got a couple of times today, like right after this call, there's a little block that he opened up. And then he doesn't have anything tomorrow or Friday because he's already full, with a lot of our place teams and doing these consultations and getting people kind of launched out on this. So jump on this if you're interested. And again, look, if you're somebody, Douglas, who Grant just said 3,000, you're like, man, I don't have 3,000. Get on his calendar for a consultation on our leads program, the Brivity Connect, which is our leads program, which this is kind of a component of that, but is a really affordable way to build the database. Let professionals handle that for you. Or we've always got Brivity Marketer out there if you guys should run your own self-serve Facebook ads, which I think you should do. But man, if you're really trying to build a database with a strategy for 2022, you're looking for a strategy to try to engage the database. Grant and his team do a really amazing job with that.
Absolutely.
Carmen, we are really close to getting the mailing piece dialed in for Canada, but we're not quite there yet in marketers. So the mailing piece on the Canadian side is still coming together. We're trying to negotiate a couple more pennies to get some good prices for you guys. The pricing they're trying to give us right now is not in line with what we want. All right, Grant, cool. You good, bud?
I'm good. I look forward to talking to everybody. I can already see people, lots of people scheduling on my calendar. So
sweet. Okay. Well, hold on. Sometimes the chat and the Q&A are like different areas. Do we need Brivity? Oh, so Abby says, do we need Brivity, or is this a service that you could do from somebody else's CRM, right?
We need Brivity, but I'd be happy to talk to them about that too.
Okay. The landing pages, the triggers, our ability to track the conversions is all kind of wrapped up in utilizing our system. And we could probably do it. I mean, Grant's team, they're good at this stuff. They could probably do it. It's just, I don't know that we'd get the results. We wouldn't be confident in kind of stamping our name on it because the results wouldn't necessarily be, we wouldn't control the whole ecosystem. So,
right.
All right, Grant, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Have an awesome day. Get out there.
Yeah.
You've got, hopefully we get your calendar filled up here today. And, it's wouldn't be surprised if there's not many spots left today, but you guys get on there in the next couple of days. We're going to have, 100 Brivity teams out there, really saturating their markets with their brand message, engaging consumers, kind of floating things to the top of the funnel, or I guess pushing them down the funnel. We're not trying to float them to the top. We want to push them down the funnel, Grant, float them to the top of the database. That's what you guys are all about. Thank you, Grant. Appreciate it, my friend.
You bet.
Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me on.
Bye, everybody.